Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Maneaters. Sorry, took a couple months break. I think the last one was like maybe August or something, and or September, one of those days. And it's they're all the days are kind of blending in these days. So I decided to come back, and I've got my awesome special guest, Mark D Valenti here. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing fantastic, and I actually appreciate being back on the show. I know that I was partially responsible for some of the scheduling issues, so thanks for your patience with me.
Hey, you're busy all the time as well as me, so I get it. I
Of
just was
course.
very happy that we're able to do it because I just want to get this. No, it's like I just wanted to get this done.
Get this done, get it off
And
your
I knew I
list.
already asked you before, so you already seen it and
Mhm.
everything, and everything. We were gonna do it, and it just didn't happen, unfortunately, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't
Mm.
happen because, as I told you before, so I saw it the first time, and I
Hmm.
think I wrote to you and was like, "This is like my least favorite of the
Yes.
Man-Eaters movies so far." And I watched it the second time, and my tone changed, and
Mm.
it wasn't because like I I feel like the second time I was more aware of already what was happening and everything, and so I could kind of take that all in, and I feel like a lot of movies do maybe deserve a second chance because you might see them differently.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done
Yeah.
that.
So that's a great point. There's actually quite a few of those movies that I think about Midsummer, right? And I don't know how you feel
Oh,
about,
no, I
you know,
won't
my,
watch that twice. Nope, nope, nope.
well, the first time I saw it, I just didn't know what to think. Probably the same way that you're thinking, right? And it just, but after I saw it, and I kind of knew, it's like when you don't know what to expect from a film,
Hmm.
and you're kind of trying to process it, and then watch it again. You're like, all right, I get it now. So after watching that a few times, I actually really appreciate it. But initially, I was like, WTF?
It is definitely a what the fuck. We just did yeah, I can say this because it's already been released. So we just did The Lobster. I don't know if you've ever
Hmm.
seen that.
I'm
And
familiar with that. I didn't see it though.
yeah, and the first time I tried watching it by myself, I was like, nah, I don't think so. Like
Yeah.
this wasn't made for me, that kind of thing. And Paul decided to do it for what WTF Fridays,
Of
So
course. Of course.
I was like, all right, well, you pick stuff. I can't say no because then if I say no, then you can say no to what I pick. And I don't, I want us to both like go, like we have to watch what each other pick, right?
Yeah. It's a mutually assured destruction if one of you crosses that line, essentially.
Trust me, he's crossed that line anyway. Paul picks worse stuff than I do usually. But uh but yeah, then I watched The Lobster the second time and I still didn't really like it. Like I didn't like it's not something I would watch again
Hmm.
and again, but I
Mm.
respected it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And so yeah, it was not the same. So I don't know. The Lobster. If you ever watch that movie is so weird.
Yes, it seemed like an interesting premise, but I haven't given it a try yet. I'm trying to still get through *Malignant*. I don't know if you've seen that with James Wan, and
Yes.
I love, like a lot of people do, like James Wan's movies, and I just try to watch it, and I get through like the first like 10 minutes of it, and I just can't get into it for some reason.
If you think of it like you ever seen Basket Case?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
of
kind of like
course.
Basket Case,
Okay.
sort of thing. It's like weird kind of weird stuff. So
Well,
you'll
okay.
like Malignant, I think.
Okay. I'll have to give that a
Um
try.
yeah, try and give it a try. You'll dig it. It's weird, and that's the thing. James Wan never does weird generally. He
Right.
does more mainstream stuff, and that was like I think that was his, kind of fuck it film. Like he
Hmm.
just was at that time in his career that he was just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just make this movie.
Well, and I think that ties back to the original point you're bringing up is I'm expecting something else when watching that movie because *Malignant* because of James Wan and his other films. So I wasn't expecting what he did. So I have to get through it, which brings it back to what you asked that question in the first place, or talked about your second experience with watching
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Yes, thank you.
Hybrid. That is a movie. I don't even think I've mentioned what we're watching, what we did. But I mean, obviously, if you can look at it'll say hybrid, on it,
Yes.
so you know what you should know. And from the base, if you've seen this movie, you know this particular scene. Probably one of my
Yes.
interesting because technically, for the longest time, I was like, this is not a man eaters movie. Nobody's fucking eating a man, and then that
Right.
happens,
Right.
like
Right.
toward the end. So I guess technically it's a man eaters, but really most of the time it reminded me of there's a great indie film called Feral Man,
Hmm.
done by a guy named Brett Kelly. He's a Canadian indie filmmaker, and I love him to death. We usually have a lot of his films. We haven't done the Feral Man yet. That I guess I'm saving for later, I guess sometime. But the Feral Man is my introduction to Brett, and basically what it was it was a guy who thought, or maybe he is, you don't know, at all throughout the movie, if he's a werewolf or not.
Hmm.
He does not change,
Hmm.
into a werewolf. And this movie talks about lycanthropy,
Hmm.
which I, I don't know. Okay, so you're more of a psychological, you know all this stuff about psychotherapy and all this other stuff. Is like lycanthropy an actual like it's not like a mental disease or anything.
So it's interesting, and needless to say, in all the healthcare work that I've done in 30 years here, I've never had it come up at all. And no one's ever, so I'm just, it's kind of, I don't, that's a great question. I mean, there's definitely a case for it. And I don't even know how much you know about the, what is it called? The DSM, I guess around five now for the diagnostic. The book that has all the different, what do you call it? All the different diagnosis in it.
Mm-hmm.
The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And so I'm curious if that's even in there. I may have to look that up,
Huh.
actually, just to
Interesting.
see, right?
That's
But,
cool.
but yeah,
If it would be, if it's in there, you gotta let me know. We'll put it in the
uh,
comments.
that's interesting. Yeah, just not, well, I don't want to look for it right now while we're doing this, but it
Right.
looks just like, well, there's some articles on this actually out there. Interesting, Jonathan. I will tell you, it does not come up that often. But there's an
Well, I mean,
article.
I'm sure you've dealt with patients, and
Yeah,
I guarantee patients have go, I'm a werewolf, or I'm a wolf or whatever to you, However, I mean, we do have an amazing actress who I love to death, Destiny Soria.
of
I'm
course.
sure you know Destiny.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yes.
you worked on her movie.
I did, yes, and she's a wonderful and very enthusiastic and talented director. Yes.
She is. You know what? The girl who's in this movie reminded
Oh
me
yeah.
of her a little bit. I actually was thinking of her when I was watching it. I was like, she kind of reminds me a little of Destiny. But
I can see that. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
well
we can
now you
talk
can
about
see
it.
it probably.
Well, no, I mean, I was actually really thinking that she was a very, how do I like? She was a good fit for this. She was well cast, I believe, in this film. It
That
was
woman, yeah, the actress.
Tinsel, right? Tinsel something. I have her in my notes actually. Tinsel Corey, was that her name?
I think
It
so.
was a unique name. I'm just looking at this. Yeah, I thought she. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what her actual ethnicity is, but she seemed to be a good fit for.
Yeah, I think she was probably of some kind of Native American
Yeah,
background.
right.
She was sweet. I loved her. But yeah, I thought of Destiny. Destiny is very she always says like, wolf, wolf
That's right.
stuff.
The
And
lone wolf for yeah. She
so
always
I'm
yeah
actually gonna probably tell her she should watch Hybrid. I think
yeah.
she would get a kick out of it.
I'd be very
Um,
curious what she thinks about
what
it.
she thinks about it, yeah. She probably like, oh my God, that's me. Like
Yeah,
as a male version of me.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
So the thing that I think in the first time I watched it, the suspension of disbelief issue that I have with the movie is just the idea that if you get eye transplants, or whatever, you don't have the mind, body, and soul of whatever you're
Right,
transplanting. It's just the eyes, right?
right, right.
And
I would
so
think.
the first thing that really pissed me off when I first watched it, and second time watching it still sort of annoyed me,
Mhm.
but I kind of just kept pushing it aside, saying, "Let me, I want to let it go." Was the fact that he had the eyes? He went into the bathroom at one point, and then he could hear the wolves or whatever, and he had like
Yeah.
super duper hearing, and I'm like, wait, is he now a superhero because he had new
Yeah.
eyes?
I mean, almost like the Wolverine in some ways, you know? I,
I guess, but like, how did Wolverine become Wolverine? I wonder. Like, I forgot
I
the
guess it was, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's a whole other conversation, right? I mean, if you go by the X-Men universe from, was it Wolverine? What was it? The one where he was
Wolverine
with him and his,
origins or something.
yeah, with him and his brother Sabretooth there, right? In the movies. I'm not as much into the comics, so I don't know the actual history of him. So it's
Right.
hard to say. I know we're going, we
Well, I
go down some
wonder. Yeah,
tangents.
I wonder if that'll be explored later.
It could be, but no, I always thought the same thing. Thought it was like all of a sudden he had this, like he could always sense like a second before danger happened. You know, he was
Mhm.
very much, and when he, I mean, I guess this is spoilers on this whole thing if people decide to.
Hey, look, I think they should expect spoilers on
Right,
all of my
exactly. How can we?
shows.
That's
So
fair. Well, like
yeah.
when he jumped, over the railing, right, and was
Mm.
kind of jumping around there, and he didn't get hurt. A couple floors down, and kind of knocked over the guy, and he was very animalistic. So yeah, he was sort of like a superhero. In which case, when I was actually watching this part, I was like, I could see why Jonathan may connect to some of this stuff since you're a big MCU fan and everything else
Yeah.
too. So,
Um, it's funny. I got in trouble today for saying bad stuff about DC, and then
oh no,
I'm surprised if I get in some trouble for congratulating James Gunn for
oh, I saw
becoming
that
a
too. I
DC
saw
thing.
that. Yeah.
Because I love James Gunn. I love him, period, and I want him the great success. He used to actually talk to me on MySpace, I think,
Oh, that's pretty.
back in the
That's pretty
day.
cool. MySpace.
Yeah,
Yes.
back in the day. And so yeah, so basically the so the film kind of starts out with this, like the story is just like this company, what was it called, Laris? That's
I
what
don't remember offhand.
it was,
Actually, I
like
didn't
a
write that down.
Laris or something. They were
Hmm.
basically trying to do implant, like eye implants and stuff like that, and whatnot, and to do it successfully for humans, and of animals, for different animals and stuff.
Hmm.
And I think they started with maybe chimpanzees or other things, but they were going to do it for a real test subject. And so a wolf died, got, donated. A human, um, a human male was in a fire accident and
Hmm.
almost died, but he got blinded. So they took out his eyes, replaced them with the wolf's eyes,
Yes.
and then he became, I guess. I mean, see, that's the thing. If they wanted to do the superhero thing, they should
Hmm.
have done more,
Like,
with it.
so it wasn't just some sort of, and you're right. There was in the beginning, they had like, I think it was, yeah, it was some kind of primate, right? Non-human primate. And they put the Siberian Husky eyes in that. But there was no, to your point, it was a very biomedical, they even used the term, so they wrote down a very biomedical process, right? There was not any sort of irradiated, there was no, yeah, I didn't feel like beyond just the surgery, there was anything that would have had somebody, give them superpowers, like you're saying. So I can see that.
And then I guess what happens is, because of the eyes, and because of his psyche, I guess is what they kind of mention, he kind of becomes like, it starts like messing with his head, and he becomes what he thinks, what
Right.
he thinks he is. But then he starts having these things. Like, it's one thing to
Like these,
say like this person's this way, and then it's one thing to actually show him jumping over things, which was
right.
my favorite scene. You
It
you
was,
probably knew that, but
right,
jumping
right.
over the railing and then jumping over the dude, I was
Yes.
like a freaking, like frog. He was like,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Again, I figured that you may connect to that given your interest in superheroes. But yeah, I
yeah.
think, yeah, so it's just, then there's a mystical element to, the indigenous people part of it, and a connection there to that, and the visions he was having, and the story of the white buffalo, and just, so it was, and funny enough, it wasn't in, I was entertained. I mean, it wasn't like a movie I'd say, oh, you guys have to go, somebody has to go watch this. It wasn't
Except
horribly
Destiny.
done. Oh, right, except for Destiny, right? Destiny's the only
Yeah.
person, but it wasn't. I mean, it was. it was okay for what it was. Unlike the other movie that we watched with the comedian in it that I will always bring up. But
Yeah, you
but
always
yeah.
bring up because you really hated that. Hey, it's funny because you brought that up a lot, and I think it was the same season for Quick Review Thursday, but I did one with it might have been like the one right before, but I did one with Paul,
Mhm.
and he absolutely hated it too.
Right. Okay.
Not that movie, not that one, but there
Oh,
was
the other,
another
whatever
movie.
the
There
movie
was
was.
another
Okay.
movie. So there was two movies that season that like you guys both hated the movie, and I was like, the one that you hated, I still love. I
I
don't
I
know,
know you
whatever.
did. That's fair. That's you
And
could have
yeah,
different
it's
opinions, right?
everybody has every different
Right.
taste. But the one that Paul and I watched, I loved when I first saw it years ago.
Hmm.
Does not hold up today, and it was called 8 Days a Week, starring Kerry Russell. Just does not. I honestly think the better movie is the sequel, which wasn't really a sequel. It's just a kind of a part of a kind of a trilogy of like numbers or whatever. But it's a
Hmm.
hundred girls is a much better movie. But anyway, point
Yeah.
is
No.
that like you really did not like that. I'm glad you kind of like this one a
No,
lot
I
better,
did.
but
I
it
did. It
was
was
not, I can see where this is not like a perfect kind of movie or whatever. This,
well, and it was a TV movie too, right? I think is
Mhm.
what it was. So of course, I mean, not that saying that makes it lower quality, but it's a different type of quality, I believe, made
I
for
think
TV.
it's a little lower quality when it's made for TV because they don't have the budget that like
Right.
if sci-fi were making a movie for the theaters, they'd have like 20 million or something at least. When they make it for this, they got probably like 250 grand to 500 grand.
Right.
And they shot in Canada, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was wondering where it was, but they said like I forgot exactly where, but it was in Canada. Um,
Yeah.
and
And it was
so
2007 it came out, I think is what it was around there.
yeah, and I mean it so what I really didn't like most of it is because a lot of these movies they actually do have a good amount of kills and stuff.
Hmm.
And this movie really didn't have that. And a lot of it's more about like the journey of
Yeah.
him kind of it becomes more like a character study than
Correct.
it is a film about a guy who thinks he's
Right.
like it's about him his journey to discovering about his life as a wolf. And I kind of feel bad for the dude a little bit because like he gets the eye transplants just to be able to see, right? And he
Hmm.
gets like awesome eye like
Hmm.
because wolves can see at night. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought so too, right? And it's funny because a long time ago in biology class, I think in ninth grade, I learned about that for nocturnal animals and particularly cats, right? Because if you put a light in a cat's eyes, there's you can see the reflection, sort of like Vin Diesel in what's the movie he was in where he was on the other planet and he has his eye implants similarly.
I know what you're talking
Pitch
about, but
pitch pitch
pitch
black maybe
black.
I think
Yeah.
right. So it's this similar type of idea, but I was always fascinated that there was almost like a reflective surface on like the back of cat's eyes, so the light would bounce through there and able to see at night. So I think they did a good job of connecting it to the actual science of how the eyes work, to your point of nocturnal animals, but also he when he woke up, with very little recovery time from having an eye transplant, he it was just yeah, he was fascinated, right? Because he could see and everything had just this glow to it, and he would seem to be very impressed by that.
Yeah, he was impressed, he was happy, he was
He was happy,
excited,
right? Yeah,
and I would sort of be too. I'd be like, all right, that's kind of neat,
yeah,
like, all right, let me I'm okay with that now because but then again when you were looking through it, I was like, ooh, things look a little blurry still. Like, I don't know, maybe it would I don't it would probably take a little bit to adjust to like that's how I'm gonna see from now on, you
yeah.
know.
You're entirely right, and I don't know. I mean, just from a cat's perspective, right? So they're when it gets bright, the cats what do you call it, close their irises to the thin slit. I don't know how it works with wolves. I don't know
Yeah.
if he's in the bright light, is he going to have to wear sunglasses like whenever you get your pupils dilated when you go to the doctor or the eye doctors? I don't know.
Yeah, but it was interesting, like, and then like they tie in the lycanthropy stuff and the
Yeah.
idea that he thinks, now he thinks he's a wolf, but
Hmm.
really he's becoming a wolf.
Right.
He's starting to like. I love one of my favorite scenes. Also, is the scene where he's running with the dogs like at night.
Yes. Yes.
Did you
Like a
like that one?
pack. I did actually. It was actually very interesting. Well, wait, just one more point though, and I want to actually go check out. You said it was Feral Man. Is that what you said? Where it was
The
just very
the feral man, yeah.
the Feral Man, which I like the idea of not knowing, right? Is he really a wolf or not? As opposed to this film, which was clear that he was physically changing, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, I actually really like the dog part as well. I like kind of almost this theme of packs, right? Because he was had these visions of the wolves running in packs, and later on in the film, the wolves join him. I like the dogs, and then but it's kind of like this theme though, right? Because you have these, I don't know what you want to call them, mercenaries, not assassins, but they're going to capture him. Or you have at the end it's not a SWAT team, but the group, like you have these packs of different people
I think
in
they're like
different ways.
military,
Military,
yeah.
right, who work
I
against.
like, and that's all you have to say these days, which is sort of a crapshoot because most of the time it's not real. Like they wouldn't, the military wouldn't be. I don't think the military would be working with
With
with this company unless it was to like do a weapon for them or something, or something for the military. So why is the military, being,
right,
invested in this thing? Like I don't
but
get it.
yeah, right. So there's some maybe story elements that may or may not have fit, I guess. But I don't know what I didn't hate the movie. I didn't.
I didn't hate the movie either. Well, I
It
did
was.
the first time.
Yes, you did, right? But it
Yes.
wasn't like quirky like the one we watched with Gary Busey in it. The one where he was
Oh yeah, cracking the floor.
yeah, right, which I thought was, had a lot of quirkiness to it in addition to gore and things. I felt like this was, I felt like a made for TV movie, I guess, and it
It tried like, and it's got a little humor. I liked the Native American girl. I forgot her name. And the medicine man
Lydia.
guy,
Oh
Lydia,
yeah,
yeah, and the
I,
medicine man. I loved him. Like they're, him always saying, "Are you married yet?"
right.
And
Yeah,
I
his
was like,
character was fun.
who is he to her? Like, are they just friends? Like, I mean, she uses him for classes and everything. He is like one of the like I don't know, most rudest teachers.
Right,
You know,
because
he
that's right, he
yells at
was
the kid.
sarcastic. That's right, because he was talking about the white buffalo calf, and it was like one. I couldn't see if it was 50 or 15 million, but still an astronomical amount. And then the little kid was like 1 in 50 million, and he's like, "Didn't I just say that?" It was just kind of funny and unexpected. Like, yeah, it was
It's just because he was rude to the kid. The kid was
right,
like, "Okay,
right,
shut up."
right.
I was like,
Which I thought was, yeah, I thought that was kind of a, because traditionally, and it's so funny because I was listening to a podcast today about Poltergeist 2, of course, with what's his name? Will Sampson is the quote unquote medicine man in that. Obviously from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest fame.
oh,
But
nice.
he has a very like traditional, like you see almost a stereotypical in a lot of these movies where like the wise medicine man and they're, helping in spiritual. Whereas this one, to your point, was kind of a little bit against type because he was sarcastic and he kind of just, you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, which I mean, I did like that. I liked his kind of.
Right.
I guess that would be the quirkiness of the movie. I guess a little bit.
Yeah. But it wasn't overwhelming though,
Yeah.
but it
Well,
was
yeah, it wasn't Gary Busey as the
right,
medicine man.
right.
I
It
mean,
wasn't.
that
Right.
would probably piss a lot of people off.
Right. Well, and it wasn't like if you ever saw the movie Dead Ant,
I've heard of it.
I would definitely recommend watching that one. I think you would like that one. So
I know the poster. I know the picture of it.
yes, of course. There's a yeah.
Like white or something. Yeah,
It's a very quirky movie. What's his name? Tom Arnold's in it.
nice.
Yeah, and even in the very beginning, Courtney Palm is actually in it as
Oh,
well.
nice.
Which is I think why I watched it in the first place. So I think so. My point of that is that's a very quirky movie, and there's a very quirky quote unquote medicine man in that movie as well. But the whole movie is just off. I'd be very interested when you see that, what you think about that
I'll
movie.
definitely have to check it out. Fortunately, unless I have like a big break,
Okay, I know you're
I
not.
have to watch movies that I'm reviewing or whatnot. It's barely ever get a chance to watch something I actually
Yeah, well, maybe you
want to
can
watch to
review.
enjoy.
Maybe you
Maybe I
can
can
review
review it.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you were doing that, I'd like to put in a request possibly to talk with you about that after. We'll see.
Let's do it. Let's
Okay,
do it.
sounds
We'll
good.
set something up. Um, that'll give me an excuse to watch it.
There you go.
But yeah, so that's so their relationship, he comes to help. I guess she brought the wolf to a clinic,
Hmm.
that was nearby or
Hmm.
something, probably nearest clinic, and then they were just that they donated the wolf to the eyes to the research company or whatever, and the girl got really upset about that because
Yeah,
she wanted that wolf to be still alive, and she thought they'd be able to help the
right.
wolf. I guess we don't really see like whatever of that, and I assumed when I first watched it that she had brought it to the medicine man or something somehow or whatever, like maybe he owned a clinic, but no, I'm guessing it was another clinic or whatever, and she was gung ho, like she wanted to find out what was going on,
Yeah.
and when she found out, like
Yeah,
she saw his eyes or whatever, and she's like, "Uh-oh, is this what's going on here?"
that's right.
Um,
She ran into him in the street the first time, right, and saw him
yeah,
because, which I thought was interesting. It was also interesting because his eyes were just so yellow that I'm surprised that he didn't get a lot more reactions from just other people around as well.
people are just like, that's just
Mhm.
Canada for you.
It's just
I don't know.
Canada. I
They're
guess. Yeah,
just
I guess.
walking around with yellow eyes. What was the it wasn't Supernatural? There's a character that had yellow eye, a demon with yellow eyes or
Mm,
something. And
right.
I mean, it was cool. Obviously, it was
Oh yeah.
contacts. It was yellow
No, no. I
contacts.
liked. Yeah, I thought that was. I thought again for being a lower budget TV movie, the effects weren't horrible. You know what I mean? It was just.
Oh,
I mean, there, as you said, there wasn't, except for toward the end, there wasn't as much death, in it and
yeah.
gore.
Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't very horror-like. It was more like an
Right.
action flick.
Yes,
Um,
I'd agree with
I
that.
kind of wish that they had gone with what you were saying, with like a more comic booky superhero thing. That would have been cool. But I mean, they did it for the Maneaters, so it needed to be a horror like. But it
Yeah.
would have been cool if he had gotten the eyes and he became the wolf and he became like Wolfman. Ha,
Yeah. Yeah. I
wolf,
mean, sure. I mean,
you know.
I guess go one way or the other. I guess with the film instead of kind of being, we're not sure
Yeah,
what it
because he
was.
was kind of, yeah, it was kind of both.
Yeah, it
And
was.
but it was like he was a superhero that wasn't really a hero. Like he
Well,
wasn't
right,
doing anything heroic. He was
right.
just trying to get away from these people who wanted to. I don't even know what they really wanted. What was the end goal of them? I mean, I guess just testing him out and
Right.
seeing if this would work. And they found out, like, they even at one point, the guy who I call General Dr. Phil,
Oh
looked
yeah.
just, yeah, he
Yes,
looked a
he
lot
did.
like
Yes, yes.
Dr. Phil. He kept kind of kind of complaining about this guy. Oh my
Mhm.
God, we picked the wrong guy. We
Oh,
picked the
that's
wrong
right. He did say
candidate.
that. Like he's unstable in the first place or whatever. So,
Yeah, and I'm like, he was not unstable before then. He was heroic. He went to
right.
save that one dude that was burning.
That's right. That's right.
Like he was a hero before he got the stuff. It's just, I guess, whatever happened with the things. I'd be more interested to hear from like the writers at some point if they had done like some serious research into um you know eye surgery kind of stuff or whatever, like I donation
Yeah.
transplant stuff, where they would tell us, like, if that is a real thing that could happen, because I think it's just all made up. And
Yeah, I think so. It,
yeah, and
it
you
didn't have.
you're a psychological guy, so you should know this stuff. Like whether or
Well,
not, like if that happens, would it affect your brain?
well, I mean, I think anytime you have any change in your health, right? I mean, that's something that happens a lot to people, right? They get a new diagnosis, they are have a heart attack, they
Mhm.
lose toes to problems with diabetes and things. Like anytime you have some sort of change in functioning or in your body, it's going to have an impact. It's going to have an
Right.
impact about typically depressive symptoms, right? Because you're not you don't feel like you can live the life that you were leading before. You're faced with your own mortality. It happens a lot. Again, without going into the detail of what I do currently, we work a lot with people that have multiple chronic conditions in the program I'm working. And the goal of the program is to help them live their best lives and understand what matters most to them. And some of it's taking care of their chronic conditions, staying out of the hospital. Some of it's conversations around end of life and making sure that if somebody wants to die at home, that wish is, where we're trying to go with that. But it's about them verbalizing what it is, or having conversations about hospice and just all these different impacts that any change has on someone's life. So, I mean, you hear about people who are in accidents who end up losing limbs, and you have all these things, or even you talk about the eyes, you could have people that go blind for different reasons too, whether it's an accident or a result of some condition. So any change to your functioning is going to cause people to react in a certain way.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so I get that. Because, any change to your environment, any
Yeah,
change to your health, any change to your mental,
that's right.
stuff. I mean, just being in sort of a fire that sort of explodes and kind of causes that problem could probably kind of screw up your brain too a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they didn't explore any of the physical, impact, right? It was all about his mental state. But I mean, in that scene, I mean, the way they portrayed it there, right? It was whatever this giant flash of explosion was that caused him to lose his eyesight. So, and it didn't seem like, I don't know what the timeline was about how long it took. It couldn't have been that long for the surgery to happen.
Hmm.
If Lydia was her name, if Lydia was kind of, it wasn't like it's over months. It seems like it was over a couple days that they,
Yeah, or a day.
or
Like
a
it,
day,
it
right? At
felt really,
least.
really quick, which I'm like, well, I mean, I guess you have to move the story along. You can't just kind of like, I mean, you could dissolve
Right.
and
And
basically say, a week later or something, but
right.
a lot of that's kind of cheesy to do that. So generally they kind of do it pretty quickly.
Right. And it wasn't like he had, I mean, I think in the very beginning he had like a little bit of trauma under here, but it wasn't like he his face wasn't horribly burned or anything like that. He wasn't like
Yeah.
dark man or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't he didn't have any actual issues with from the burning of whatever happened, but
Right.
except for the eyes
Right.
getting blind and
Right.
whatnot. Which I'm wondering, like, so is he like, I mean, what, so why why do they pick him as opposed to just finding a blind person and
Yeah.
saying we could just give you sight?
It's a good
Like, why
question.
did they have to?
That would be an interesting.
That would be even better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just
Like,
thinking.
I mean, I can understand if it's like, because if you look at that timeline, they're like, we're about to go, because she had that big speech with
Right.
everybody. We're about to make this go live. This is going to happen. We just need to find the right person for right candidate, which I don't know what the stipulations necessarily are, except for blindness.
Right. Right.
And I'm just wondering why they don't just go, okay, well, yeah, list of people who are blind. Like, how amazing would it be if you are able to give people
Right.
the
Yeah.
vision back?
Yeah. I mean, right. Because I think even and I think it was a baboon, I swear, that they put the husky eyes in.
Yes, it
I think
was.
I think they said it was that he had lost his eyesight because he had glaucoma or something like that. Or I can remember. It was some eye condition. So right, so somebody who lost their sight over time, and then the baboon, and then they gave it back. But it would be an interesting story to do that with somebody who's been blind since birth.
Right.
So, which again, I
Um,
guess would add another level of exploration, though, and that to I don't know. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Maybe there should be a part two, or maybe there's already a movie like that somewhere we don't know about.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I remember there's a Joss Whedon story that he did um back in the day. Well, not back in the day, it was like 2012, so maybe like 10 years ago. And he did then he wrote called um Good God, he's done a lot more than I remember him doing. Um, Wait, maybe he didn't write it. Maybe he produced it. Um, oh, In Your Eyes.
Oh,
It
oh,
was like, you remember that movie or whatever? It says
maybe.
two seemingly unconnected souls from different corners of the United States make a telepathic bond that allows them to see, hear, and feel the other's experiences, creating a bond that apparently can't be broken. So all I remember is they use their eyes, so I thought there was
And that,
something
that
with that, but I guess not.
was that the one where there was a killer involved?
I think so.
Okay, and it was
It's like a thriller.
yes. Okay, I think so. Then I think I may have remembered
Seen
that.
it years ago.
Right. Well, yeah, it
Uh,
seems. Yeah, it seems like there may have been some Twilight Zone type of thing about that. I don't know. Or what's the other one? Is Jeff Fahey? I swear, where he got an arm transplant from some killer, and then it was causing him to have some homicidal thoughts and actions. So I just remember that one. I got to look that up too. I know we're trying to connect.
we're trying to connect other movies, but I mean, that's the thing. When you have like a cool idea, like, and I will say this was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, yeah.
I just, I kind of agree with you, like where if they were gonna do this movie, they should have figured out exactly what it was. So
Right.
if it was gonna be that, because what they wanted to do the most of the time, they wanted to make it where it was a love story. At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, it was a love story. It
Yeah.
wasn't just a love story between the two main characters. Love story also between this guy and the other wolves and other animals, and
Mm-hmm.
being part of a pack, and finding your place in the world. Like it tried all these different things, but if you're gonna make a horror film, make a horror film.
Yeah.
You're gonna make an action superhero movie, make an action superhero movie. So if you were gonna take it to the superhero level, it would have been cool if he like somebody was in danger and he used his wolf stuff to like sniff out danger, and he ran out, and because you didn't see him do any smelling or anything, which could have been cool.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
I think
he
the
didn't do that. He could hear better, he could
yes.
see better, and I guess he ran on all,
Yeah. Well,
the
and I think, and that's the yes, you're right. So the hearing that he had, right? I think about some of the X-Men movies, right, with Wolverine. I think they focused more on that there, where they showed his ears perk up, and or he had like some sense of danger that was happening, or something like that.
Now
But
you're making me want to watch Wolverine Origins. I've
yeah,
never
I mean, it
actually
was.
seen it.
Oh, you haven't?
No, people get on me because I
Ah.
never watched the X-Men much.
Oh
I
wow.
watched the first two X-Men movie. No, yeah, first two X-Men movies when they first came out in the theaters.
Hmm.
After that, I sort of lost interest and just stopped watching them. And
Hmm.
then I tried rewatching the old newer ones, like the ones that came out like after in the
Oh, like X-Men
2010s.
First Class and those ones.
Yeah, I watched them somewhat recently, and so I've been kind of trying to get back because I assume a lot of that stuff is going to be made fun of in Deadpool 3.
Yes.
At some
Right.
pool, at some point,
Yes.
they're gonna pick it apart. So,
Right.
because why not?
You're right.
Um, okay,
You're right.
right. But
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Interesting.
I didn't watch it, so I've been late on that, and I've watched the Wolverine. I didn't watch. Uh,
Did you
was
watch
Origins
Logan?
the? Yeah, watch Logan.
Hmm.
Because I kept hearing nothing but like, you gotta see Logan, you gotta see Logan. I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I had no idea, like, it didn't even feel like it was part of the same like universe,
Right. Right.
or whatever. It felt completely different. But I liked it. But yeah, I need to watch all of them, again and whatnot. But they're all on Disney Plus
Mm.
and stuff. And um, this movie is actually on Tubi. So
Hmm.
if anybody wants to see a hybrid, if you haven't seen it and you are listening to this podcast and you're hearing everything that we're already saying and spoiling, then oh well. Um, I think that's a good point because I was telling you earlier that I was planning to go Black Adam.
Hmm.
At one point, I was just going to listen to somebody kind of do a breakdown
Hmm.
of it, instead of go see it. And I was thinking I can still watch it. I'll still like be excited when I see it, but I just kind of want to know if it's any good,
Yeah.
kind of thing before I go see it. But like, yeah, see, I mean, you'll if you still watch it, you'll be surprised a little bit. I mean, there are some cool scenes.
Hmm.
I did like him beating up the people in the bar,
Hmm.
but I was expecting like him to eat them or something,
Yes, a little more
man eaters.
animalistic, I guess, right? It was
Yeah,
more
but he just fights people he's superhero stuff, or whatever,
right, right,
throwing them across the thing. I'm like, wolves don't do that.
right,
Like,
right,
what does this have to do with becoming a wolf? You
right.
know? Just so I don't know.
Yeah, no, I felt that. What's the movie Split with well, what the heck's Patrick? Not Patrick Stewart. Jeez, I'm mixing. What the heck? Whatever his name is.
James McAvoy.
Thank you. Like I felt him as the beast in that movie, and the other one was more like I felt he was more animalistic, and when he was the beast, as opposed to what this person was portrayed in this movie, whose
Exactly.
whose name was Aaron, by the way.
Aaron, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I only had that written on my notes. That's all.
What else do you have on your notes? I want to hear some
Just
more.
yeah, no, I mean, we talked about a lot of it already. I just thought, I thought Justine Bateman was actually okay in this.
I
I mean,
mean, I feel like she was sort of underutilized. Like, I get her point. Like, I get the reason why they have her in it,
mhm.
but I almost feel like, honestly, if they had any other actress in there, it wouldn't have mattered, Like,
Yeah,
it was sort of like, okay, well, we're gonna give the part to a bigger name, right?
right.
She's Jason Bateman's sister, I think older sister or younger.
I don't know offhand.
Not sure. But and she's, I mean she was pretty good at it. Like I didn't have any problems. She didn't, you know, she just sort of was like,
Yeah, she
I
moved
don't
the
know.
story along, I guess.
She did, and I mean there was a point to her character, but it's just like she's throughout the movie and you can see, okay, they only had like maybe 2 or 3 days with her and that's it. Then they had to, or maybe even
Yes,
one, and they had to
right.
put
Well,
all her scenes
we
out, together quickly.
yeah, I
And
think we both know what that's like, right? Working with people for a day on set who a lot of money's invested in them coming
yeah,
there.
and you gotta move the story quickly. You gotta get
Yeah,
it done.
right.
And they did a good job with her, but it's just like she's there throughout, like the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Hmm.
The end, it was almost like, why is she even here? Like she didn't do anything.
Right.
Like,
What was her character arc? I guess maybe just.
yeah,
I mean,
you know what? If like, because I was watching Project Greenlight, like the newest one or
hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
and I absolutely loved the guy that was running it before. Does not run HBO films now. I have no idea who's running it now.
Hmm.
I know they are making another Project Greenlight, by the way, so that's gonna
Okay.
be cool for HBO. So that, thank God Warner Brothers Discovery has not destroyed Project Greenlight yet. Um, we'll see how well this next one does, I guess. But they I think his name's Len Amato or something, but he was like talking about how he read the script and he said this one girl did not have a good character arc, and
Hmm.
he just did not think the script was ready to be greenlit.
Mm.
And so I think that's some big difference between like HBO films
Hmm.
who do like bigger projects that are like, at least 1 million, if not more,
Hmm.
you know, as opposed to um what is it? The sci-fi who make these small ones, they're probably like, all right, the script is good enough. Let's
Right.
just get it going. And that's the problem with these things is like if they took a little bit more time and focused on that, I think Justine Bateman's character could have been
Hmm.
sort of a better part to it. I think what she should have done is sort of more sided with him,
Mm.
with the wolf, and became helping him to escape the
Right.
people and stuff like that. And I understood that we brought in the other girl. Maybe um, the other girl could still be part, helping him. But like if they all kind of, did that, because I believe that her working for the guy, and then at the end, she kind of says, "Oh, I'm here to help,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, And I was like, wait a minute. So the medicine man just goes, okay, you're here to help. Like,
Yes.
I'm gonna trust this lady I've never met before because she said I'm ready to, I'm here to help.
Right,
Like,
right, right. Yeah, no,
what?
I know. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So there was, yeah. That's actually a really great way to frame all that, Jonathan. I don't
You
really
didn't think
have.
about that, or did you?
I mean, it's, in general, like I said, she was just kind of there. And again, knowing and working on set many times, as again, I know you have too. I just think of, to your point, how do we make the most of this person, the a bigger name star that's more expensive just for 1 or 2 days of shooting. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't have any overall like other notes beyond what we've talked about. There's just minor little things that just kind of, and I'll just name a couple of them. They're really small things that were just stuck out to me that really don't have anything to do with the overall plot. Like when they had the fires and explosions in that plant in the beginning, I know it was 2007. It didn't seem like it was CGI. It seemed very like in real life filming them. That would seemed a little bit dangerous because like
Yeah.
it just seemed like the people were very close to these explosions. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point. 'Cause
yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about it. It did not look CGI.
Mm-mm.
And that was probably, there had to be like stunt people, and it
Of
had to
course.
be like where, yeah, that definitely, that guy was not anywhere near actual fire when that was happening.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah. And then, again, lower budget, just thinking about, okay, how careful were they with this? Um, just funny stuff. I think like whenever he's running in the park that one time, Aaron, and there's a woman who's sitting on like a on the ground there, and there's a dog that she has, and I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, is that dog going to respond? But it was clear that in real life, whenever Aaron walked by this dog, that dog got scared right there. Like it wasn't even. I don't know if that was even meant to happen. He was like running by it. So definitely go back and
I have to
watch
look
that
back
part.
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting in some of the scenes with I had to look it up, the song Look by Sketch Williams. They played a lot when he was walking around the street. I thought that was an interesting use of music when he was kind of walking around at night. I had to
Oh.
use my Shazam to figure out what song that was.
So what did you find out what it was called?
It was just Look, Look, by Sketch Williams, but they played it quite a few
Like
times.
two or three times, and
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, is this supposed to be like the running theme?
I
But I
think
was like, it
yeah.
has nothing to do with being a wolf, I
I
don't think.
know, I know. So I thought it
Like,
was an interesting use. I think the other little, again, final thing is, as far as since we're looking at small things, whenever they captured Aaron, the military or whatever, and the one military person goes to Lydia and says, "Look me in the eye," and he says it twice, maybe even 3 times, and he says, "This is no longer your concern." So I thought it was interesting. Was it purposeful that they focused so much on like that connection of eyes, or was it just a random coincidence given the theme of the show? I don't know.
I think actually when I was listening to it, I thought maybe he was checking to see if she had like some kind
Interesting.
of
Maybe.
eye stuff or something. So when he's saying
Good.
look me in the eye. But then I was like, he doesn't know like that this is, the government is funding, I
Experiments.
guess, this research or whatever
Yeah.
stuff. I don't like,
Yeah.
my only other big little nitpick is just his escape was just too easy.
Yeah. That's fair.
And I was just like, I was just kind of like underwhelmed by it, like, because we don't even see him really escape anyway. We see him kind of, he's free walking around, and then at one point like the baboons are free,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
the one nurse is like, "What are you doing here?" to him,
Oh, that's right.
and
That's
then
right.
she's like, "Aaron, you shouldn't be here." And I'm like, "Wait, so she does know he?" Because at first I thought she didn't know he was. And then she was like saying, "You don't, or whatever." And he was like, "I need to get out of here." And she kind of just doesn't even say anything. And I'm like, I mean, like, she should be like, "No, you need to go back to your, you need to go
Yeah.
back to your
Yeah.
chair and sit and relax." And, like, like it, did she
Yeah.
help him escape?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Right?
I didn't even
There,
think about that. Yeah.
like, because I mean, because the next time we see him, like everybody's like, oh, like, whatever, and Lydia's trying to leave, and he's just in front of her car, so like he escaped somehow. That was just a I don't know, cheapest escape I've ever seen on film.
Interesting. It
And I
wasn't
just
like
didn't like that. Like even the first time or the second time, I was like, wait a
that's
minute,
fair.
what did I miss something? Like, did they cut something, a scene out where,
Yeah.
and maybe they did,
Yeah. Good
for
question.
time. Um,
Maybe.
people have to understand this is made for TV. So TV allots for only a certain amount of time. You have 2 hours of time.
Hmm.
Now, uh, I don't know how much it is, maybe half hour of it or something is half hour of that is commercials,
Commercials. Yep.
right? So they'll have like 2 3 minute commercials blocks set throughout the whole thing. And so you get only an hour and a half, right? So when we watch it on Tubi, it's only an hour and a half. And that means you have to cut down to the precise moment,
Hmm.
right? So when you're writing and directing it, you're probably not thinking we're going to have to edit all of this stuff out, right? So I
Right.
would I would love to see like more if there is like a director's cut and like maybe it
Maybe there is.
explores more stuff like or maybe there isn't a longer cut they could make. Maybe they never made it, but there's more on the cutting room floor. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. That's yeah, there was a couple yeah, I think you've identified them there. There's a couple of parts that seem like there's something missing. Um Last thing I'll say is I looked on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if you did. There's no tomato meter from reviews anywhere. There's an audience score of 250 plus ratings. The audience score, any guesses of what it is?
Uh, audience score. Let's see, 26.
Good. Geez, really good guess. 27%. That's
That
pretty.
was I did not look at
That's
the
pretty
Rotten
impressive.
Tomatoes,
That's
so
really
I was
good.
just I was just saying I
So,
wanted to go low, but I didn't want to go like one,
yeah,
or
yeah.
something. But I
I
wanted to
mean,
go somewhat.
yeah. In fairness, I wouldn't give it a 27%. I'd give it like maybe a 50. It's nothing like there was nothing that blew me away, but there wasn't anything that was horrible. I just thought there was some parts that were good, some parts that were questions. I don't know what you would give it.
Well, we do our stinkometer, right?
Oh, in
And
the
the
show?
stinkometer is 1 to 10,
Oops. Of
and 10, 10 being stinky, and one being,
course.
really good. We don't do it for this show because, I mean, generally speaking, we don't have like three people generally, and that's
Right,
how
right.
we measure our scores or whatever. But if I were to do the stinkometer, it'd probably be a 5.
Okay, right. So it's kind of in
Be
the
in the
middle.
middle. Yeah, it'd be like the 50% because it's okay. Like, would I recommend this movie? Not really. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell people except Destiny that they have to watch it
Hmm.
because I feel like it's sort of like amalgamation of like every other werewolf wolf,
Right.
kind of hybrid stories. It's a hybrid of a high, of a story anyway. So it kind of
Yes.
works for its title.
That makes
But
sense. Good
but
connection.
even then the title didn't even make any
Oh,
sense
good. Yeah. Right.
because he's not a hybrid. He's just
Right.
a person with wolf
Right.
eyes.
Yeah. Good
A
point.
hybrid would be if he like was see, that's what would have been cool. If
Hmm.
they had basically you ever seen the movie Man's Best Friend?
Yeah. You with a dog that was like was it a robot or like half
No, he
like
wasn't a robot. He was a real dog, and he
well
was a Rottweiler.
yeah.
And they basically took all these different things. Like he had
Oh,
cheetah, like he could run like a
that's right. That's
cheetah.
right.
He had all these different like
That's
animals into one dog, right? Or
mm,
whatever mutant genes,
yes.
and stuff. And that is what I would have imagined with this. That would have made him a hybrid. I
Good
think if they
point.
had taken like all the elements of being a wolf and put him into a man, you
Yeah.
know,
Good point.
um, that would have been cool. But
Interesting.
that would have been more like the superhero thing
Yeah.
because then they would have kind of made him this hybrid character. Now,
Yeah.
it's funny if you go on Tubi, there's another movie called Hybrid, um, and I did that last year for 31 Days of Indie Horror with Jason Zlakis, and we watched Hybrid, and Hybrid was a car. movie.
Yes.
As I think it might have been called Super Hybrid or something.
Yeah.
But
Thank you for warning me to watch this one so I didn't make that mistake because I saw that one out there too. So I'm just,
yeah, you could have. I mean, you
yeah.
have to be careful. I think I had to tell you it's the wolf one.
Yes, that was
Um,
good. Thank you for that.
yeah, because I have to
Russ.
tell you all that too if you're going to watch this,
Yeah, good
because
point.
it is a wolf movie, not a car
Yes,
killer
good
car
point.
movie.
Thank you for clarifying that. Otherwise, this would have
Yes,
been a very different conversation
but
if I would
pretty.
have watched the
We
wrong.
would have been like, we would have been talking about two different movies, and we would
Right,
have been
right,
like, I don't know if this matches up,
right.
you
Exactly.
know. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, especially like, I mean, this is like I said, this is part of the Maneaters series. That's what we're doing this for. We are on our second season. Pretty soon going to be on the third next year, and then we're done. So because there's only I think like 26 or something movies um for it. Like
Hmm.
there's not like 100, or you know what I
Right,
mean,
right, right.
which is good. This is a limited series, but is this the worst of them all? No, this is so far I think my least favorite. I think one of them is probably Yeti,
Mm.
which I was expecting a lot better. And watching it with Paul, we started picking it apart, and it was just not good. It was not. Now, if you don't pick it apart, maybe you could enjoy it a little bit more. But
Mhm.
I think if you start watching, you're gonna pick it apart.
Yeah,
It was pretty bad. But this one is just it's kind of one of the more boring ones of like there's not that much death in it
right.
until the end where he's coming against the military guys. And I'm like thinking, why isn't he arrested?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I mean, like shouldn't he be arrested for all the murders he just committed?
I would
He
think
killed
so.
people, like he killed the one, I mean, two security guards at least, or not
Right.
security guards,
Yeah.
two military guys, if not three, I think maybe
Right.
three. So he should he shouldn't be like let go.
Right.
Like
Right.
I
Agreed.
understand he's a wild animal now, but he's not really. He's a human still.
Right.
You
Right.
know
Yeah. As per the
that would be
picture behind
interesting
you.
if he were arrested and they were put in jail. Like how as a wolf he's put in a cage because
Yeah.
of a zoo. It
Yeah.
would have been
Good.
an interesting little, but costs probably a little bit more money
You're
to do
probably.
that.
Yeah. It'd be interesting if he was actually put in a zoo, like what's in the American Werewolf in London, where David woke up at the zoo after he had a night of murdering people, and he was in with the wolves in that
Yeah,
part.
that's
So,
true. That's true. Well, I was thinking more along lines of Tusk.
oh yeah, yes,
Yes, where he's in the zoo at Tusk or
yes,
whatever.
yes.
Good
At the end
God.
there, yes,
Yes. You've seen that, right?
yes, I did. Yes,
Okay.
very. Another movie that I saw the first time, I was like, huh, but after I saw it a couple more times, I learned to appreciate it.
I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, so like when I first watched it, I was just like, okay, this is awesome. This is different for
Right?
Kevin, you know? But I really liked it.
Yeah,
Then I watched Yoga Hosers and it was like, I don't know what you're doing, Kevin. I don't know.
yeah,
I get you're having fun, but man, come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
bring it back,
I
you
know,
know?
I know. I tried to watch that, but I could not get through it.
Yeah,
Yoga
it's
hosers.
a hard movie. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. Um, but you know, it's one of the ones I don't own of his.
that's fair. That says a lot.
Yeah, says a lot. But yeah, anyway, this movie was okay. Like we said, it was 5 out of 10. You know, it's not something I'd recommend necessarily unless you're really into wolves and you kind of there is some really good like I think it's stock footage. Got to be like stock footage of like a lot of the wolf stuff.
Yeah, it seems like
Um,
it. Put through some kind of different filter, I guess, of a
yeah. Well,
yeah.
the black and white filter at some point too, right? Wasn't there like some black and white stuff
Yeah,
or
it was
something?
kind of yeah, I guess.
Faded or whatever.
Faded, right? Faded with some more bright. Yeah, it was interesting. But
Yeah, so I
yeah.
liked it. I mean, I didn't hate it the second time. I
Good.
really I think and once again, I think I should point this out that maybe if you watch this, you might need to watch it a second time because the first time I watched it specifically, I don't know, did you watch it twice or did you watch it only
I
once?
watched it whenever we first did it a while ago. and we're going to do it back in August, and then I rewatched it today. But
Yeah.
the first time, I don't think I was paying as much attention as I was today,
Yeah.
which I'm glad we did it the second time.
Maybe that's another thing too. Like, I mean, I tried to pay attention, but it's kind of bored me. And I was
Yeah,
like, okay, when's something interesting gonna happen?
right.
Then
No,
the
I know.
second time I'm like, all right, I'm already ready for like the boredom to happen. So
Right,
now let me just actually focus on the
right. So,
actual movie and whatnot. No. And even Tarantino has said this actually. He says that when he goes to movies, first time he watches a movie, it's for him, right?
yeah,
Like it's just for fun. It's something he's enjoying. He can't wait. He's excited. Like as if it's a Brian De Palma movie, he's gonna go see it. He's gonna like sit down and watch and just absorb it. The second time, he's looking for things he wasn't seeing. He might go with somebody, now. The
yeah,
first time he goes by himself and he watches it by himself. Second time he might go with somebody and he can kind of, but this time he's like looking for how do they do the camera work? How do you do that? And so when I was looking at it, I was kind of doing that a little bit because I was like, okay, you know, what was I missing
yeah,
the first time that maybe I will like this time? And I think what it came down to was just the idea that I didn't look at it as this is a Maneaters movie, even though it is,
hmm
and that's the series.
hmm
I looked at it as this is more of a character study on a person who believes he's becoming or who is becoming a wolf. He's getting the super hearing. He's having super ability to jump, or land right. All these things. So it would have been cool if he had claws, and stuff. But I guess I mean they only did his eyes, so it's just anything that I guess. I mean, that's the other thing. The hearing. How did he be able to hear better?
I
You
know.
know?
Unless there was some mystical element there,
Yeah.
which makes it another type of movie as well.
That would have been cool too.
Yeah,
It's like if like they did the Native American thing and like somebody put the spirit of a wolf into him,
right, exactly.
or whatever. But and you can still have Justine Bateman in it. You just have to figure out another place for her.
That's
She's
right,
not a
exactly.
research person, but she's more, the head of somebody, trying to hunt down the wolf,
Yeah, good
or
point.
whatever. So anyway, it 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 was a interesting idea. I think they did it well enough.
hmm
Um, uh, I would be interested if they took it to a different level on a part two, but I don't think they'll. I mean, the thing with the Maneaters series is it's pretty much dead.
hmm
They're not
hmm
gonna, and they never did any sequels to any of the movies. They just kind of made a movie and then put it out. Then I guess all of them were the sequels because they were all in the same
Same
series of
universe, I
films.
guess. Or
I guess, but I mean, none of them ever crossed over, which would have been cool,
yeah.
like because Gary Busey was in Maneater, and that would have been cool if his character Maneater crossed over and he met Michael Madsen in Croc,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
whatever. I I don't know. Have
Well,
they ever been in a movie together? I'll have to look
I
that
don't
up
know offhand. Yeah.
because if they have, I want to see that movie. That's got to be the
Yeah.
wackiest
Me
movie
too. I have to think
ever.
about that.
Sadly, they won't ever probably cast Gary in much these days.
Right. Of course.
Kind of dug his
A lot
own
of
hole.
a lot of controversy there for sure.
Yep. But anyway, thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, it's my
Do you have
pleasure,
any last
Jonathan.
words about this? Like any
No,
last thoughts?
I think we did a good job of just dissecting it on the micro level, but more on the macro level for themes. So thanks for the opportunity to talk through this with you.
Like I said, I really want to hear more of the psychology stuff from you because when I was watching it, that's all I could think of is like, okay, they mentioned psychology stuff in here, but is this really like, could this really happen
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean, like
lycanthropy
I said,
thing? It's interesting.
I haven't read up on lycanthropy for whenever, you know what I mean, except for watching the Lon Chaney
Now
Jr.
watch,
movie
somebody's gonna come up to you. Somebody's gonna come up to you in the next
and
one
say
of the next
something about it.
clients
Well, I'll
and
see if
say
I,
they
yeah,
think they're a lichen.
I'll go back and look to see if there's any actual official diagnosis in there. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah, that'd be
I'll
interesting.
update you on that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you
Well, thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah, my
And
pleasure.
everybody else, join me next month. I can't say what I'm doing yet because I know what it is, but You never know until you do it, until it gets done, if it'll be the what's next. So we've got one more this season, then we'll be back in March. So until then, everybody have a good one. And once again, Mark, you too have a good one as
Yeah,
well.
thanks. Likewise, Jonathan. Take
All
care.
right, take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.